Okay, now we have one that has a absolute value in it. Now absolute value problems, okay, the most important thing that you have to do with these problems is you need to isolate the absolute value first. You must do this first. If you don't, you're going to get the problem wrong. You have to isolate that first before you break it up into those two equations. So what I mean by that is this one right here. So let me go ahead and rewrite it for you. Alright, what I want to do here is I'm going to add 7 to both sides of the equation first. Okay, and I do that first to get, I'll get negative 2 plus 7 is 5. I'm going to do that first. Once I do that, this is when I'm going to break this up into two separate equations. So the absolute values, you've got one here, 1 minus 4x is less than 5. The other one is 1 minus 4x. You're going to, on the second equation, you're going to flip the inequality symbol and make the other number opposite sign. That's what you must do in these problems. So whenever you have an absolute value problem, you're always going to solve it the same way. I see the same errors on tests every single semester, so I'm really trying to make sure you guys understand how you solve this. You've got to isolate the absolute value first, and then you must take it into two separate equations. One exactly the way it's written, and the other one you're going to flip the inequality symbol and make the other number opposite sign. You must do that in order to get the correct answer. So for this one, now that I have these two separate problems, I'm going to get two different answers here. I'm going to subtract 1 from both sides. So subtract 1, and I get negative 4x is less than or equal to 5 minus 1 is going to be 4. Now, I'm going to divide both sides by negative 4. Now here's another thing you want to remember on these kind of problems. Whenever you multiply or divide an inequality by a negative number, the sign is going to switch directions, which means that I'm going to get x is greater than or equal to negative 1 as an answer. I got to flip that final answer. It only happens when you multiply or divide by a negative number. Adding, subtracting doesn't change it. Only dividing or multiplying by a negative number. Let's solve this one now. Same thing, I'm going to subtract 1 from both sides. Negative 4x greater than or equal to, I get negative 6 this time when I subtract those. Divide both sides by negative 4. Now once again, because we're dividing by a negative number, the sign is going to flip. So now I have x is less than or equal to, this here, negative over negative is positive, and 6 over 4, you always want to reduce fractions as far as possible on the test, and so that's going to give you 3/2. So x is greater than negative 1 and less than 3/2. Let's visualize that by doing a number line. Okay, so I have negative 1, and then over here I have the fraction 3/2. Okay, so if you're putting it on a number line, the number line is given for you already, you can just change 3/2 into a decimal, which would be 1.5, and you can estimate it that way. Alright, so now that I have that complete, okay, I have, because I have an equal sign underneath, I want to use closed circles for both of those. So closed circles for each. Now I have x is greater than or equal to negative 1, so greater than means it's going to be going that way to the left. And then I have less than 3/2, which means it's going to be going, less than means it's going to be going this way. So my answer is going to be where both those intersect and come together. So I want to find, my answer is basically going to be wherever it is going to be greater than negative 1 and less than 3/2 at the same time. And that would be this region here. That would be your number line equation. If you want to do a interval notation for that, the closed circles means that you're going to use brackets. So here, you're just going to put negative 1 to 3/2. You're not going to have any infinities on this because you don't have any arrows going in a certain direction forever. You're looking at where they both intersect. And so here's your number line, and then negative 1 to 3/2 with the bracket. That would be your the correct interval notation.